So now our focus is on the topic HTML structural elements. Now HTML structural elements, also known as the content elements, are used to organize and structure the contents of the web page. These elements do not display any content themselves, but are used to group and define the structure of the content. So one of the key common HTML structural element is called div. So div element is a generic content element that is used to group related elements together. It can be used to create sections of the web page, define a container for other elements, and apply styles to group of elements. So it has no default meaning or rendering behavior, as it is a logical division element. So it plays a role providing arbitrary block container, as I mentioned before, where we can apply the styles using CSS. Now please do not use div element when you used to be using a logical element like paragraphs or navigation or nav type of elements. Span element. The span element is a inline element, an inline HTML element that is used to group and apply styles to a small section of the text or part of the larger text block. So unlike contain element, span does not create a new line or start a new paragraph. So the span element does not have any inherent semantic meaning, but it can be used to add additional information or visual effect to the text. But we don't actually use the span element if we can use elements like em or strong. Now when you create a HTML page, you can actually create a page like having a multiple divisions or divisional elements. You can give kind of we can divide the divisions using, maybe can give different separate headings. So for example here my web page have a bunch of divs with separate IDs like header, and this is my banner, news, info, broadcast, and as a footer. So always remember that HTML is only about the content, and the structure where these will appear on the screen will be specified through the CSS later on. Now HTML5 has some semantic elements or some actually add some new semantic elements like nav, article, section, header, and footer. Now semantic elements describe their meaning to both the browser and the developer. For example, we can use nav to define set of navigation links, section to define section in the document, or the footer to define footer for a document or the section, right? Sometimes we can use the header to use to define the header section at the top of the web page of the section, etc, etc. And the non-semantic elements are like div, span tells nothing about the content, right? So it defines the structure semantically neutral in terms of meaning to the web browser, but semantic elements in the other hand has a kind of meaning to the browser. So that's what I mentioned. So one of the semantic elements as mentioned here is nav. So if I want to specify a list of navigation links, I can use the nav for that. It is intended only for the major block of navigation link. Not all links of a document must be in the nav element, right? So usually the browsers can understand nav. So it can determine whether to omit the initial rendering of the content based on your nav. nav element. So this is an example here. I use the nav element to have a bunch of links. So I have um, a links here um, inside the nav, and you can use I can have a different PHP scripts for each link to process the data when the user clicks it. So you can see there are four anchor elements. Sometimes we can use unordered list inside the nav if I have multiple drop down menus in each. So if I put all together your web page structure kind of like this can organize in this manner. So heading section and the footer, and then in the middle and then we have on top the navigation, and then in the middle we have the other contents like headers, and inside the header sections we have the other sections, etc. So this is how we organize our HTML. Now remember, HTML is only about the content and the structure. Where all these appear on the screen will be we can be specified through the CSS later on. So you can actually put the side into the other side using the CSS like this.